All right, beautiful soul. Welcome back to this week's episode of the You Unlimited podcast. I am so grateful that you're here and that you were magnetized into this space for a reason because we're going to be digging into a topic that I think we all experience to varying degrees in different seasons. And it's really powerful when we start to tune into what is this trying to teach me? What is this telling me? So, we're going to be talking specifically about when things fall away that we're kind of desiring to keep, or there's a part of us that we're like our ego just really wants to hold on to it. There will be moments of shedding, there will be moments of people leaving, of opportunities, doors closing, things of that nature. And I'd love to dig into that topic today because we're all experiencing this and will experience this to varying degrees over and over again. And it's about really tuning into what the universe is desiring for you to know, the universe, God, source, universe, whatever it is that you believe in, as these doors are closing and or things are shifting. So I'm really excited to dig into this topic because I think it's really important. We can feel like when we're in it, there's a lot of chaos happening. We feel nervous, we feel angry, we feel frustrated, and we're just not clear. Often, when we're in the middle of it, it feels so much like chaos. And so, my goal today is to start to bring peace into that chaos for you to really connect into the channel messages that are coming through specifically about why things are falling away and what it's actually allowing to come forward. So I'm sure you've all heard of that tried and true phrase, release to receive. But so often it's easier said than done. So for instance, I remember when I first started kind of leaning into my spiritual awakening and just kind of entrepreneurship in general. I went from, working 15 years in corporate and marketing at an agency, climbing the corporate ladder, everything on paper felt very defined. It felt very structured. It felt very cookie cutter. And then I kept climbing the corporate ladder and I kept thinking, something's missing. Something really big is missing. I just don't feel happy. I don't feel excited about my day to day. There has to be something more. And so, what I was recognizing is as I was starting to understand myself more, as I was starting to come into my own skin more, as I was starting to take bigger and bolder steps forward toward what I really wanted, it made people that were in my kind of inner circle at that time very uncomfortable because I was stepping out of the quote unquote norm that I was inside of. And so it was really interesting when I went from, sorority girl in college steps into marketing and is climbing the corporate ladder, is getting the promotions and the raises and all of these things. Everything looks great on paper, but I was not being fully expressed and I wasn't being my full, authentic, true self. I was kind of a chameleon at that moment in time and doing what everyone wanted me to do, doing what looked good on paper. And I really lost myself in that process. So the second I started stepping outside of the box, it made people, including my friends, including people at the office, it made people just kind of uncomfortable with what I was doing. And more people, or certain people, more uncomfortable than others. And so what I recognized was as I became more and more of me, they were feeling like they were losing the old version of me. So they really wanted to keep me where I was at by, saying things that were very hurtful, that would kind of keep me small and things of that nature. And I remember, for a while kind of thinking that what they were saying was true. And so I started to play really small and I'd come back into my shell and I think, okay, never mind. That was too much, too fast. And what was really happening was I was starting to connect into my nervous system and deepen into my truth, even when other people didn't get it. And that was something I had to be okay with. So when I talk about things, people, or opportunities, or friendships falling away, partnerships falling away, these things can happen when we're stepping into a next level version of self because what that's essentially meaning is our authentic truth is one of the highest frequencies in the entire universe. So when we are living in authenticity, we are vibrating at this high frequency. Essentially, what that does is people will essentially vibrate out of where we have now landed. And what that's doing is it's essentially creating spaciousness to call in people, opportunities, experiences that are in alignment with our new vibration. Because the vibration is essentially the song, the frequency is the radio station I'm playing on. So as I'm kind of raising in vibration, I'm healing myself, I'm stepping into a more embodied version of me. I'm now planted on a new radio station. And what does that mean? That means that some people that were operating on my previous vibration don't like the song. It doesn't sound good to them. They want you to come back to this radio station. Come back down here. This doesn't feel good. I don't like that you're shining that brightly. It makes me uncomfortable. Do this, do that. Very prescriptive languaging, right? And instead, it's about recognizing it's giving them an opportunity to rise. And what that means is we can simply be the embodiment of who we are, who we authentically are, which that in and of itself is an invitation to rise. I think so often as we're rising, as we're, stepping into a different vibration, we're like, wait, I've got the answer. Life feels so much better up here. Let me give it to you on a silver platter. And we try to raise people before they're ready. And I know I was guilty of doing that, where I was like, this is the answer. Here's how you break through it. You can be anything and everything you want to be, and people were like, what? Like, that's too much too fast. And so instead of trying to convince people to join me at a certain frequency, I then just decided to be the embodiment of who I truly am. And that in and of itself was the embodiment or the invitation for them to rise into their next level version of embodiment. So whether or not they did that, I was no longer attached to that outcome. Did I desire for them to join me there? Absolutely. But if it wasn't in alignment or the timing was not divine for that to happen, I started saying that's okay. And so what I started doing was instead of looking for other people to tell me it was okay to step into this next level version of self, I said it was okay for them to be exactly where they were and for me to be exactly where I was. So I was no longer looking for permission to vibrate higher and to land on a new frequency. So what happens is we vibrate higher, we're on a new radio station. People may join us there, but they may not. And so opportunities, experiences, things that are just not people that are just no longer in alignment with where we're headed, they'll vibrate out in different ways, where it could be a falling out, it could be a door that closes, it could be things of that nature, where suddenly it feels like something that felt so aligned is energetically feeling heavy, feeling off. There's a reason for that. And know that as things are shifting, as things are releasing, it is actually opening the spaciousness, it's creating a void so that you can call in what your next level version of self desires to fully create and embody. It's really important that we create spaciousness. It needs a void to be able to step in, right? So the second I said, it's okay, friends, if you don't want to meet me here. It's okay, corporate, if you can't vibrate this high, which meant I got to do the leap of faith and step into building my own business. It's okay if XYZ, and I still did it anyways. And so what that did was some people came with me, some opportunities came with me, and others did not, and other opportunities did not. And there was actually so much beauty in saying, like, let me create the void. Let me allow the void to happen. And the number one thing I recommend as you're stepping into that void is we have to calm our nervous system when we're in the void, because that will feel like chaos. Our old energy is dancing with our new energy and it's colliding. And it's going to feel like an oscillation. We'll step into it and then we're like, that's too much. I'm scared. And we're stepping into it and that's too much. I'm scared. So the goal is normalize what this next level version of yourself feels like in your body. It's really important. So that 7-figure shift exercise, I'm going to drop it into the show notes. That is exactly what that does. It normalizes the vibrational jump. It normalizes the quantum leap such that it feels safe and normal in the body. When things feel normal, they, without us even doing anything, will absolutely magnetize into us. It just is, this is the law, is when we're in alignment and it feels normal and it feels natural, it will magnetize towards us. It's like when we had a beautiful experience of, like, let's say our parents, they stayed married, they were loving, they were connected. When we had this beautiful example of what a man and a woman looked like together, or a partnership looked like together, in whatever way that looked like for you, when you had that, let's say as a child, when you were at home, you don't question as an adult, most likely, is that possible for me? It feels normal. Therefore, you magnetize in the soulmate with so much more ease. You're not blocking them. You don't have stories or limiting beliefs around that experience. The same is true of money, of stepping into this next level version of success. If you, as a child, witnessed money that flowed with ease, an ability to be resourced, to say yes to everything that your soul desired and no to everything that didn't, it flows. with so much more ease because you're not blocking it. Now, many of us grew up in households where many of these things were not normal, where it was like money was scarce. Maybe your parents got divorced. Maybe there were certain relationship aspects that felt really off that you were like, oh, is this what marriage looks like? Or is this what making money looks like? Or wow, money feels so heavy, money feels so hard. Whatever those were, essentially what is happening now is it's giving you an opportunity to clear those limiting beliefs to then normalize the experience of receiving what it is that your soul really deeply knows in its deepest, truest form, you are worthy of receiving. Like in its deepest, truest form. Your soul knows I came here to experience that. I came here to receive in that way. I came here to be resourced in that. And that is what that 7 figure shift exercise allows you to do because when you vibrate higher, we have to get our nervous system on board with what that means. New opportunities, new experiences. New is kind of the enemy of the ego. The ego is like, I like comfortable. I like sweatpants. I like knowing how this is going to unfold. I like control, right? And so when it feels like anything is shifting, whether it's in alignment or not, your ego will try to block it unless your ego feels safe, unless your nervous system says, this is normal, everything's going to be okay. I believe that I can attract in what it is that I desire. So that 7 figure shift is so powerful. If you haven't downloaded it yet, drop into the show notes. Download that exercise now because it's my gift to humanity. It's so, so, so important that we really step into and embody normalizing success. It's really important. So, as your next level version of you is kind of dancing back and forth, you will vibrate out, as I just talked about, things that are out of alignment. So, just know that again, releasing to receive. So, how can we calm our nervous system and how can we step into deeper levels of trust, knowing that the universe is actually clearing a pathway to receive something that is even more in alignment? So I know something that I was, very frustrated about recently that it was just kind of like, why are all of these doors closing? Why does it feel like I am not able to find the person that I'm looking for? And that was because there was an element of divine timing and an element of divine alignment that needed to happen in order for me to call in this certain person that I was looking for. So the thing that I was kind of moving through is my son essentially we had to find a dentist, a pediatric dentist that could perform a surgery that he needed. And for me, I did so much research. I probably researched for 2 months trying to find the right dentist who used the right tool that allowed me to be in the room that, wasn't going to put him under, but also was going to create a safe environment that felt fun and connected. And it was like I had all these boxes that I knew that had to be checked. Because when we are looking out for our children or we're looking out for people that we deeply love, we almost take it to the next level with like, I'm not folding on this. These boxes get to be checked. If I desire it, it's destined for me. And so I kept finding all of these dentists and I'd call their office and I'd ask them all these questions and they would check all boxes but one, or they would check half the boxes. And I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to fold and put my son in a situation that isn't in his highest alignment. I refuse to do that. And so what I had to do was step into a deeper level of trust. I had to calm my nervous system. I had to say, I know that if I desire this, it's destined for me. God, source, universe, angels, and guides, please align me with the exact pediatric dentist that is most meant to be in the highest alignment for William, his health, for taking care of him, for the procedure going exactly the way that it is meant to, for it to be the highest possible outcome, for him to feel taken care of and seen and held. And I had all of these things and I placed in order with the universe. And I stepped into deeper levels of trust. I said, I know that this person exists. I know that this person exists. So I am going to hold space for this person to drop in and also take inspired action when I get the ping, right? So I wasn't obsessing over it, but when I'd get an intuitive ping that said, okay, I'm gonna search a little bit more. I'm gonna type it into Google here on my computer instead of my phone or whatever it was. I got this intuitive ping, and all of a sudden, a brand new pediatric dentist pops up that wasn't in my search bar before that checked all of the boxes. And what I'm incredibly grateful for is that one of the things that with her specifically was I knew that even though she checked every single box that I desired, one of the boxes that was not a requirement for me was that she had to be in network. And so this is what I mean by we're meant to be resourced to be able to say yes to everything our soul desires and no to everything our soul does not desire. So for me, it was not a requirement that she take my insurance for my son. I said, as long as she checks all the boxes, I will pay out of pocket for that all day long. I'm okay with that. I am resourced in a way to say yes to the people that are in alignment with my soul, my son's soul, my family's soul, and that's the beauty of wealth energetics is being resourced to be able to say yes to the things that are in alignment with our soul and no to the things that are not, right? When we're not resourced, then we have to say yes to things that might not check all the boxes. So for me, that was one of those quote unquote requirements that a lot of people have that I was like, it's not a requirement. I want to make sure that this person is checks every single other box. So anyway, so long story short, when I gave it to God and I said, okay, take it, I'm so frustrated. I'm going to call my nervous system. I'm going to pray on it. I'm going to ask for you to align me with the perfect person. All of a sudden, she popped up. And so he ended up having the procedure this week. And I'm so grateful that we leaned in with her. I could not have been more grateful that we leaned in with her. He's so resilient. He's doing so good now. I shed more tears than he did, but I'm so grateful my husband was in the room. I didn't want him, I didn't want William to see me cry, so I was just, behind the scenes, but my husband was holding his hands. We got to be there in the room. She was so incredibly nourishing and kind and incredible, and his healing has been going so amazing to the point where even after he had this surgery, later that day, he was like, hey, I'm going to pretend to be Dr. Carey and you pretend to be William. So lay down in the chair. And I'm like, oh my God, he's making a game of the surgery he had. Clearly, by having all of these boxes checked, this was an easeful process for him and less traumatic than I was fearing it might have been. Because that's what I prayed for, that it be easeful, that the recovery be easeful, that we can clear his energy before, during, and after to ask all of my angels and guides and his angels and guides to come into the space. And so this is what I mean by release to receive. Start to give it to God. If you feel like doors are closing and you need a little bit of guidance, step into deeper levels of trust, knowing that it's coming without settling on something that isn't really in alignment with your soul, and allow yourself to expand into the version of you that can hold this more soul aligned person. And what I mean by that is essentially what that means is, again, the person you're calling in is operating at a very high frequency because you want them to check all the boxes, right? Maybe the soul aligned clients, a soul aligned opportunity, the house you desire to call in, the doctor, the partner, the friendships, the soulmate, whatever it is you're calling in. It's imperative that you say, okay, if I want a 10 out of 10, how can I actually start to become that myself such that I am a vibrational and frequency match for that person? If I'm a vibrational match, we're on the same frequency, and now we can call each other in with so much more ease. So your goal is, instead of trying to control the situation, instead of overly Googling something and feeling frustrated by doors that are closing, trust that those doors are closing because they're not meant for you, or they're not meant for you right now. So your goal is to say, allow myself to calm my nervous system with something like the 7-figure shift, allow myself to step into a higher vibration, which again, that 7-figure shift exercise in the show notes, that will help you do that too, because it's having you step into the version of you that already has it. Allow yourself to step into that version of you as you calm your nervous system, stepping into that version of her now, him now, step into that version of them now, and simultaneously give it to God and step into deeper levels of trust, right? Our angels and guides, God wants to resource us, wants to support us, but we have to ask. We came here to have free will. Our souls dropped into these beautiful bodies to say, I'm going to make choices. And so your spirit team cannot intervene until you ask for support. So it's really imperative to say, let me pray on it. Let me connect into it. Let me place my order. Let me step into a deeper level of trust and feel into what that feels like, right? So these are the steps that you undoubtedly get to step into when doors are closing, when people are leaving. Let's say when clients don't re-sign. Trust that my mantra is always when one person leaves, three more soul aligned people are on their way to me now. When one person leaves, three more soul aligned people are on my way to me now. And that is how I step into my next level of abundance. I actually see the power of no as so much abundance. I'm like, amazing. I am blessing this person. It is perfect that it's no longer soul aligned. And I'm so grateful that we got to spend that time that we did together. It was exactly what it was meant to be. And it's like releasing someone to find exactly what's in alignment with them and allowing us to find exactly what's in alignment with us. So if there's ever been a moment where you're like losing clients or the money is feeling scarce or anything like that, it's about really saying, especially for something like that, every no or every person that leaves or vibrates out, for every no, three more soul aligned yeses are on their way. And inevitably, it always happens because I believe it. I embody it. I know it to be true. And so I invite you to try that mantra on. If that has been your experience, is about really knowing that I am releasing to receive, but I get more specific with it. For every no, three more soul aligned yeses are on their way. And that's the beauty of really stepping into knowing that we are being provided for, knowing that we're stepping into deeper alignment. We're not meant to hold on to relationships out of scarcity. That would be like saying, oh, I know that this person isn't my soulmate, but I'm going to marry them because I feel like I might not find my person. And what does that ultimately end up happening? Several things. One, you might get divorced and ultimately end up stepping out of the relationship anyways. Two, you might end up staying in the relationship and being deeply unhappy for the remainder of your life. And it's because we made those decisions out of scarcity versus saying, let me release them into the wind. Let them find their own soulmate, right? Same with clients. Let me release them so that they can find their soul aligned person and so that I can call in my soul aligned people. And I'll tell you what, when that happens, work becomes easier. It's so much more fun. The clients you call in are so deeply understanding and loving and incredible. Every single person that I work with, I love to the depths of my soul. I love them to the depths of my soul. I'm like, I cannot imagine more soul aligned clients because I've allowed what hasn't been in alignment to vibrate out and opened myself up to receive just those that are in alignment with my soul. And so the things that I deeply value, those are the people that I've called in that simultaneously deeply value those things. And therefore, I'm giving that into the space. They're receiving that in the space. They're giving it into the space. I'm receiving it in the space. And that's the beauty of allowing yourself to release, to receive what is in so much deeper alignment. So I hope that this is starting to bring some peace into potentially some of the chaos you might be experiencing. Again, calm your nervous system, place the order with the universe, step into deeper levels of trust, allow yourself to really deepen into that seven-figure shift exercise. Allow yourself to step into that and to know that next level version of you might feel like chaos in the void, right? What is the void? It's black space. And what do we typically feel when we're in a dark room by ourselves with no lights on? A little bit of chaos. Some of our, our nervous system's feeling a little bit elevated. We're like, did I just hear something? Right? Like it's like our ego is on high alert. So our goal is when we're in the void, calm your nervous system, start to visualize yourself stepping into this next level version of success with an exercise like the seven-figure shift and allow yourself to release with trust to receive by holding on to and embodying a mantra such as for every person that leaves or for every no, three more soul aligned yeses are on their way. And feel it in your bones because it's true. It has been true for me every single time. And it is the most incredible experience when all of a sudden it happens so quickly because I know it and I embody it. It is just my deepest level of truth. So I hope that this was supportive. My goal was to say, let me be a conduit so that I can bring forward more peace in the chaos. This felt very relevant to be bringing forward, especially as we're in this scorpionic season where there's going to be shadow, there's alchemy, there's darkness, there's chaos, there's beauty, there's expansiveness, there's fertility, there is wealth, there's everything. It is meant to be the black and the white, the light and the dark. And how do we access more of the light? By going into the dark and allowing us to bring more light into that experience. So that is exactly what my hope and desire is that we brought into this experience for this episode today. I am so, so, so grateful for you spending your most precious resource with us, your time. And until next time. Mwah.